this is the introduction to Paul's letters from prison. If you were here with us last semester, we also did letters of Paul, but they tended to be the earlier letters of Paul. So 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, for instance, are considered to be the oldest part or the earliest part of the New Testament, right? Written in 48, 49, 50 AD, right? So just to place ourselves in the middle of the 1st century AD. And Paul is writing to fledgling communities, and it's early in his ministry, all right? Or early in his writing ministry. The letters from captivity or the letters from prison are instead at the other end of Paul's career for the most part, which means that they're going to be about 20 years later than the letters that we studied last time. And they're considered to be Paul's letters from prison because Paul is considered to have been imprisoned in some form or shape of captivity. It's not like here, like in our modern day United States, where you go to jail or you go to prison, everybody knows what that means. To us, there were various degrees of imprisonment in the Roman world, and some of them were equal to house arrest. And Paul may have been in something similar to the equivalent of house arrest for a couple years in Rome when he wrote these letters, okay? At the end of his life, if you go to Rome, I don't know if we're going to go this time, but there is a prison in Rome called the Mamertine prison, the Carcere Mamertino, which is where Peter and Paul traditionally were held before they were executed. And that is like a deep, dark dungeon under the floor, in the pits, chained to soldiers, in the utter darkness, with nobody giving you any food, because you have to pay for your own food. And that's also part of these letters too, because anybody who was imprisoned in the Roman system, there was no, Bureau of Prisons making sure that you had a humane treatment and had food and had a gym and a library and you get degrees in prison. No, they didn't even really provide bedding, blankets, food, etc. So that will make sense when we see Paul thanking the church at Philippi for sending him some money, because he needs money. He needs money. He needs money to eat. He needs money to buy clothes, to have bedding, to be warm, etc. So it's a different setting, like today's prisons, you would just put some money in their commissary account so they can buy cigarettes or something, or candy. But it's different here. We're talking about the basic needs of life. So you will also see some differences or some evolution in Paul's thought, right? So it's Paul at the beginning, when he's talking to the Thessalonians, he's a lot more worried about things like the end of the world and the second coming and all that kind of stuff. Whereas we have a little bit more of a meditative, theological sort of overview from the distance of Paul's entire life of ministry that comes across in these letters. Okay, so the emphasis is a bit different, but the message is always the same. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. Let's say that together. Jesus is Lord, because that's the message today too, right? No matter who we are confronted with, the state is not Lord, Jesus is Lord.